Well, there's been a good reaction all around in the private sector when it comes to the president's announcement yesterday, and we're going to get to that with the Kumba Iron Ore CEO shortly. The miner Kumba Iron Ore's profits have fallen by just over 50% to 15.15 billion rands in the half year to end June. The miner's revenue is also down almost a third after heavy rains disrupted production at its Sishen and Kolomela mines in the Northern Cape. For more on this, we are joined by Mpumi, Zikalala, the CEO at Kumba Iron Ore. Thank you very much, Mpumi, for joining us. This is the first time that we are speaking since you were appointed as Kumba Iron Ore's first female CEO. How have the 10 months or so been thus far?
Thank you for having me, Polani. It's been 6 months. And I have to say that it's been an exciting period. I have joined a wonderful team. Kumba is an absolutely fantastic team. I just look at the first things first. In mining, keeping all our employees and contractors safe is the first value. And we completed 6 years without any fatal incidents on the 10th of May this year. So I'm very excited.
That is quite exciting. Apologies, I got my time frames and timelines wrong there. But the past 6 months have been a difficult period for Kumba Iron Ore, demonstrated by these results. But despite that 50% fall in profits, you have dug into your reserves to pay a dividend to shareholders.
So it's been an interesting 6 months, and yes, we had a couple of challenges. We had heavy rains, especially at Kolomela in the first quarter of this year. And in line with our first value of safety, we also slowed down our production, primarily at Kolomela, simply because we put an intervention in place to ensure the safety and health of our employees. If you look at the bottom line, from a production perspective, we produced 17.8 million tons of iron ore. You know, it's interesting that you say that it's been a challenging set of results, and I would call it resilient, simply because if I look across the board, we managed to realize an average FOB export price of $136 per wet metric ton, and that was 15% above benchmark in the current market conditions. The other thing is that, you know, a 54% EBITDA margin and also a 98% return on capital employed is certainly not something to frown upon. So yes, lower than last year, but we still believe that we had a very resilient set of results.
No, absolutely, Mpumi. And as you've mentioned, no fatalities at this period, a great record at Kumba. But the production fell 13% with equipment reliability issues prompting those increased safety stoppages. But still, the quality of Kumba's iron ore means that it commands a premium on global markets. And that is something to be proud of.
Definitely. And that's why, if you look at it, we managed to realize a 15% uplift from benchmark prices. And going forward, one of our key strategies is actually on delivering high-quality premium ore. That is exactly what our customers want, particularly in a world where they are thinking about decarbonization in terms of what we call our Scope 3 emissions. Clearly, it's their emissions. We know that for every 1% increase in iron content, our customers realize a 2 to 3% reduction in their emissions. And that's why we believe that we are pushing the right strategy around producing high-quality premium products.
And of course, something that is quite important is President Cyril Ramaphosa's plan to end load shedding, particularly as Kumba is also investing heavily on renewable energy at its operations to ensure uninterrupted power supply. You have vehemently welcomed the President's plan. Tell us more about what you like as a Kumba Iron Ore and miner when it comes to the President's plan.
Oh, no, we certainly loved it. You can see my smile. You know, I think it's absolutely something that's fantastic for our country as a whole. I think more for the country more broadly. the look at improving the performance of Eskom is absolutely welcome. I think it will be welcomed by all South Africans. And then coming closer to home, there's a couple of things that were mentioned. One, the removal of the 100 megawatt cap is something that I think we should all welcome. At Kumba, we are looking at a 65 megawatt solar installation at Sishen. And certainly, with the President's announcements, we'll also consider other available options to us. The other thing is that we are part of the broader Anglo-American group. And from a broader group perspective, we are looking at a 3 to 5 gigawatt installation by 2030. And this will be a combination of solar, wind, and hydro energy. And certainly the President's plans will enable this. And even with our own initial 65 megawatt, we like the fact that the red tape will be removed insofar as permitting is concerned for areas that are not environmentally sensitive. So we are planning to explore this. And I'll say it again, it is something that is fantastic for not just Kumba Iron Ore, but the broader mining industry and for all of us as South Africans.
Of course, Mpumi, you are one of those companies that have the financial muscle to actually plan around load shedding. But let's talk about how load shedding has actually had an impact on your operations. There are other factors around the world, including Russia-Ukraine war and the lockdowns we've seen in China as well. Those challenges, how have you dealt with them and what implications have they had for you as a group?
So I think firstly, from a load shedding perspective, what we are grateful for is that prior to Eskom curtailing our load, they would typically let us know, and that would enable us to actually plan and actually reduce the level of power that we need to curtail by. And certainly it's had some impact, but not as significant as it could have had we not known that they were going to load shed us. So we are extremely grateful to that when it comes to Eskom. And that's why we are also excited by clearly the President's plans. And then when it comes to other elements, and I mean, you've mentioned it, I spoke about the fact that we managed to see a 15% uplift in terms of our FOB export prices, and we are very grateful for that. That's linked to, as I said, the quality of our products, but also I think our marketing team does a stellar job in terms of matching our products to the right customers, and particularly customers that are looking at reducing their emissions. You spoke about other market factors. What we expect to see certainly in the second half is that we do expect iron ore prices to be aided by the stimulus that will be forthcoming from a China perspective, and we are looking forward to that. And we have, from a supply perspective, seen reductions in terms of iron ore production from the likes of Russia and Ukraine, and also, interestingly, India as well. And certainly that's had an impact when one looks at prices, and we do think that it will continue having an influence on prices going forward.
Mpumi, something that is quite important that I've seen many mining companies do recently is reporting on their contributions to the societal economy. Well, Kumba Iron Ore says that it contributed 31 billion rands to the Northern Cape societal economy in the half a year, and capital expenditure for 2022 has been increased also by 1 billion rands. This is quite an important part of your operations and announcements as a group.
Olani, it's yet another thing that we are proud of. So we have contributed 31 billion rand of what we call shared value. And that includes a whole lot of things that are for the benefit of South Africa as a whole. And I'll come to the Northern Cape next. It includes our taxes and royalties. It includes our spend when it comes to especially BEE companies. And we then also bring it closer to home because we look at our procurement spend when it comes to goods and services towards local companies. And when one just looks at that for the first half of this year, over 2 billion rand of our spend went towards local BEE suppliers. And that's something that we look at. We also consider employing or our employment, and we are proud of the fact that when it comes to overall as Kumba, close to 80% of our employees come from the Northern Cape. And that's critical for us because clearly our mines, Sishen and Kolomela, are located in the Northern Cape, and we are part of our communities. Something else that we are very proud of is that earlier today, we also launched our new hybrid employee share ownership plan. And that is something that will benefit our employees as Kumba Iron Ore. That comes with two elements, a vesting element and also an evergreen element. And I absolutely love this because it means that it is a replacement of our previous Karolo scheme. And it means that our employees will continue benefiting. They are, by the way, the people that contribute to our results as Kumba. So it is the right thing to do.
Very interesting times for Kumba Iron Ore. The CEO there, Mpumi Zikalala, thank you very much for your time talking to us about the latest developments and responding to the President's plan to actually end load shedding, which has been widely welcomed.